I'll go ahead and share the screen here. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, as you join the webinar, please type in the name of your school and what city you're joining from or country. So we have Tom nonprofit, and they work with high school students from across San Diego. Thank you. Oscar from Tec de Monterrey, Campus Guadalajara, amazing. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so today, thank you for joining. We're doing the Ideate webinar, and this is part of the 2024 Jacobs Teen Innovation Challenge. Again, just a reminder to everyone that we have our main website, packful.org/JTIC24. This is the main website where you can access any information that you need, the calendar, the dates. If you miss any of the recordings, you can go back and watch the recordings for the webinar, which I'll show you right now, where they're usually posted once we pass each webinar. So if you go down the timeline, you'll see here, watch the replay for the kickoff. Right? You can watch the recording and check out the slides. And today I'm going to be updating the recording and the slides for the Ideate webinar. So you can always go back and reference that. And we always send the recording via email, so you can access that previous information through that. And just as a reminder, if you need to get in contact with any of us, this is our team, Perla, Lisa, Derek, and Anne. And today we're introducing someone from the team. Her name is Rebecca. I'm gonna be transferring to a role outside of the university, but I leave you in very good hands. and I want Rebecca to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about who she is, and any questions that you have about the challenge or anything, you can always reach out to her and Anne as you have, but I'll let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Bianca. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Rebecca Ottinger. I work with Bianca. I've been working at the Jacobs Institute for the last year and a half. Previously, I've been working on another project called Vismo, which does origami and visuospatial skills. And before that, I was also working a little bit in design thinking and in the world of digital fabrication and education. So it's super wonderful to be working, and I've been working alongside Bianca, so you're not getting a totally fresh person. I definitely have some experience with Pactful, and I've seen it work and seen how incredible it is. So very excited to work with you all. Have also taught many times in my career in after school and in outdoor education and different spaces. So very happy to be here and very happy to answer any questions you guys have as we go along in the process. Thanks, Bianca.
And then, hi, everyone. Oh,
go ahead, Annie.
And then, hi, everyone. My name is Annie Avalos. I am the Social Innovation Specialist, and I'll be walking you through the timeline for the challenge. As a reminder, today is February 22nd. We're doing the Ideate webinar. The next webinar will be held on March 19th, which will be our prototype webinar. We ask that you keep in mind April 30th as an important date on your schedule, because this is when the recorded pitch submissions will be due for the students. And then we will have our award ceremony on May 24th. And then the April 11th webinar will be the final pitch webinar before pitch submissions are due.
Thank you, Annie. Yes, so just as a reminder that you can do any of the work with your students at any time. All that is flexible. The only time that is not flexible is, like Anna said, April 30th, when the pitches are due. So say, for example, you have not started with the Ideate information, you can always, you have time to do that, and you have until April 30th to go through the whole content, but April 30th is when the recorded pitch submissions are gonna be due. I will take questions at the end, but feel free to type it in the chat if you, in case you don't want to forget them, and we'll answer those as we can. But let me get through the content and we'll go back to those questions. Thank you.
And then for our prizes, as a reminder, we have 5 prizes here. The Best Overall Social Innovation Prize for $2,000, the Most Local Impact Award for $500, the Most Global Impact Award for $500, Most Creative Innovation Award for another $500, and then Advances in Social Justice and Equity Award for another $500, depending on your country of residence. The winning teams will be awarded their prize by the ways as stated on the slide. And then we are also very grateful to be sponsored by DRS Daylight Solutions, and they are providing another award, which is the Photonics Innovation Award. So the field of photonics would be the physical science of light waves. So any innovation that deals with lasers, lights, fiber optics, or infrared will be eligible for this prize.
Oh, that was the last one, Annie. Thank you. Yes, so we have a question in the chat. I'll go back to the timeline. Parul is asking, during the pitch seminar on April 11th, what are we targeting? Do we do online presentation? So we'll cover that during the pitch webinar. So during the pitch webinar, we'll tell you how long the video has to be. We'll describe to you the rubric, all the details. We even have like a pitch deck template that you can reference. And even anyone who wants to work ahead, like if you go in the platform under the pitch webinar, you can find all those resources also. But just for us here, the webinar today is focused on the Ideate webinar, then on March 19th on the prototype, and then April 11th on the pitch. But if you want to get a head start and start looking into that material that we're gonna go over in future webinars, feel free to browse around the platform and you'll find those resources there. And if you have any challenge finding any of that information, you can always email Rebecca if you want to type in the chat your email and Anne, and they can always help you find those resources also. So we want to do a refresh, a recap of how everything is going so far. So let me see if I'm gonna launch a poll question here. So you should be able to answer the 3 questions that I launched in the poll. So the first one is, have you been able to create a teacher account and class impactful? You can answer yes, no, or in progress. The next question is, have you been able to invite your students to join the class impactful? And just as a reminder to everyone, and I'll show you briefly on the screen, once you create your class on the dashboard, you'll see here on the left your class code. So you use this to invite your students, right? You invite your students to your class. And the last question that we have you been able to start working on the understand phase? That was the first phase we went over during the kickoff activities with your students. So please take a moment to answer those questions in the poll. Okay, so I think we're good. If anybody needs more time, let me know, but I think we should be ready here. Okay, so I see that a lot of you have created the teacher account. That's great to hear. That's always like a big major step because you have to create the account to be able to invite your students to your class. And also just as a reminder that we have a new feature. So now you can add it and remove instructors to your class, right? So we have we sent a newsletter about it. You can add and remove instructors. So anybody who wants to to be added to your class, you can do that if you are inviting co-teachers, or if you, if you have any student assistants or anybody who wants to be part of your project development, you can do that there. And just to clarify that the main instructor cannot be transferred over. So it's just the main instructor who can add and remove collaborators. And I see a few balance out for question number 2. Have you been able to invite your students? Some of you are still working on that. That's fine. Just remember to use that class code to invite them. And so and then some of you are in progress to start working on the understand phase. And again, that's fine. It's up to you. Again, it's flexible as you progress the work that you're doing through the different phases. Just remember the big deadline here is April 30th, because that's when the pitches are due. But again, we'll have the pitch webinar to go over those details. And we just have a few questions here. If anybody wants to share, feel free to type in the chat, or you're welcome also to unmute yourselves and share with the group. What has been your overall students' reaction to Packful thus far? What has been their reaction being added to the class, accessing the activities? The next one is, how are your students' teams progressing through the understand phase? If you've been able to create those teams and how that experience went. And then also, what would be helpful to us as you progress, especially now that Rebecca is joining, it would be very helpful if you can share any information with us of like what else would you like to see in future webinars, anything else that you will want more details on or clarification. So anybody who wants to answer those questions here under the discussion, feel free to, again, add a comment in the chat section, or feel free to unmute yourselves and share with us.
I don't mind sharing. So our students are actually pretty ahead. They're working with some other design projects. They're lucky to have me because I'm obsessive over design thinking. It's what my doctorate's in. So they're real excited because we have a real live community partner that we're designing with. And our community partner came in yesterday to test their prototypes. So they were like beside themselves to actually work like hand in hand with a community partner to test out the device, to get immediate feedback, to see if it would even work. So it's been really great just having them understand that like what they're doing now is very impactful, and that the woman who came in is a local retired school teacher in Cherry Hill. So they kind of felt like more connected to her because she's in our own backyard. But just to see that like their efficacy and their belief in themselves, their problem solving, and they were just so excited. So it's really, really cool.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Don. That's amazing that you're able to bring a community partner on school and have them share firsthand what the social issues that are. Can you say like what is the topic about the goal, the global goal? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're doing global goal 3, health and wellness. So we're doing one of the our partner has lives with Parkinson's disease, so they are creating an anti-tremor device, and they did like the research on the Charcot and whatever else is out there right now. So they've created multiple different kinds of devices, whether it's a wrist, whether it's an armband, whether it's a bracelet type thing, whether it's a glove. They researched what Stanford had done. They've kind of taken like to see what else is out there, and they're using the microbit technology, the little tiny processors. We've used them before in other areas. So they're using those microbit technologies. And then my girlfriend actually has, it's her organization, it's Mission Parkinson's Disease, Mission PD. So we were able to like connect with her and have her client come in. So it's cool. They have like the glove, which just is the anti-tremor, so you can like program these little microbits, which I could talk about all day long. they're so affordable, and it's the kids get their hands on it, and they can just they even if you've never coded before, the Scratch program is so easy. It's block code. But they get their hands on it, and I don't know, just really cool to see them see how their innovations impact. And we got really great feedback this morning. Suzanne sent a beautiful email, and she posted it in Mission PD about how these kids are like, the hope of the next generation, and they felt really great about it. Like, this is exactly what we do, right? The SDG goals and designing for them, and with real people, and solving real world problems. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I think like definitely like the whole energy behind the projects change, and students get excited because they are in touch with someone who's like living through it in life, no? Which is like, yes, this is what it should be about. Students getting engaged with the real community. Jesus, feel free to share, please.
Oh, I had a question for Dr. Fisher. So you said all of your classes are doing goal number 3?
So my advisory class is doing goal number 3.
Okay.
And they're doing like a couple of different ones. We're doing the goals project, which is goal 11. But with the goal number 3, I also work with, and I know that this was mentioned with Bianca last time, Project Invent. So, having access to the microbits was through my Project Invent club, which is after school. But my one class is working on this. I have multiple groups working on different challenges.
Related to the goal number 3.
Yeah, well, right, because the one in Project Event is definitely set, SDG 3, and then the goals project number 11 is environmental sustainability. It's really the sustainability goal. So I have other advisory team members working on that one. So we have like simultaneous challenges happening in our advisory. But a lot of these are free, and it's so critical that our kids have this experience, right? Like the Sustainable Development for New Jersey and Empowered Schools New Jersey, that's all free content, all complete. I mean, even so, like they pay educators, they'll give them $200 stipend for supplies, whatever at the end. But like there's all these opportunities, the Jacobs Teen Challenge, there's all these like amazing opportunities to break the kids out, to get their hands like really invested, right? And like we can talk all day long about the standards and like implementing design standards and implementing this, that, and the other thing, but like the proof is in experiential learning. The proof is like reaching out to community stakeholders and doing this stuff. That's
No, because I'm just beginning and I'm introducing it, and I'm doing an elective, and I have 5 classes, and trying to figure out, like, do I have all 5 classes jump in? Do I have 1 or 2? I'm trying to make it, well, I'll be honest, easier for me, but also bring something to the play, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of different goals, right? Like I know with the goals project, they we could choose like 4 or 5 of the sustainable development goals. And with the Jacobs goal, like the number 3 is just so easy. But if you might want to focus on 3 or 4 different goals and then break them up into teams, and then have them, create, and seeing if there's someone within like the parent group or community itself that could come in and talk, right? Like, does somebody have a global health issue, right? That they like the Parkinson's, does somebody have like an impairment, disability, or something, right? Depression, whatever. Like even teens, even kids within the school district can give you like, you could create devices to manage depression, like whatever. But I would suggest with the 5 classes for elective, I would definitely do I'd narrow down the 17 to some manageable ones. Sustainability 11, goal 4, goal 3, all of those are pretty easy to manage with the SDG goals.
Well, thanks. No, I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'll drop my email. I don't want to take over this. This is not my Zoom. I'll drop my email. Feel free to reach out.
Sharing.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing those resources. And Dr. Don, feel free to also share the links to any other opportunities that are happening so that others are aware too. And Oscar also share, it's in the chat, it's a positive reaction, very motivated to participate in a project related with the SDGs. The instructions are very clear, and I think it will be very helpful. The pitch webinar, thanks. Okay, the pitch webinar, yes. Okay, yeah, so anybody who wants to, I know usually we don't get this many questions about the rubric so early in the webinars, but if you are interested in looking more deeply into the pitch phase, again, you can go to the pitch phase and find all the details of, as you have seen, all the activities are on the do section. But if you're trying to find the rubric, you should be able to find it under the pitch your event. We'll give you the pitch rubric that we use to evaluate the pitches, and also some notes about it. So if anybody wants to jump early, you have that as a resource. You have the slide deck and everything there. But again, it's in the last pitch phase that we will go over when that time comes. So today we're gonna focus on the Ideate phase for the webinar, but thank you so much for sharing all that insight. And feel free to continue sharing any information or adding questions in the chat, and we'll take a look at those or answer as we can. And just as a reminder, note that the design thinking process is not linear. Of course, for the webinars, we're doing sequentially here, but you might have students that go back to the understand phase because they need to understand the problem deeper, or some students might want to start with a prototype phase and start testing right away. But once they start putting it out there in the community and the user design, with the users, they might say like, hey, or exposing it with community members, no? Have you thought of this? Like all those questions come back, and they may have to go back to the understand phase and maybe even ideate some more. So just remember that this is not a linear process, you're jumping over the different phases. So again, today we're gonna go over the ideate phase. So let me play this video for you. Sure, let me see. Okay. Let me know if you cannot hear.
Ideate and come up with solutions.
Let me replay it.
Now that you understand the problem, it's time to ideate and come up with solutions. At first, you might be overflowing with ideas, or you might have trouble coming up with ideas. The first step of ideating is to stop, catch your breath, and clearly frame the problem into an actionable question. For example, how might we provide flood victims clean drinking water in order to prevent illness? This question will guide your project so you're all working toward one goal. Next, you'll go broad and brainstorm many solutions, tapping into your creative confidence to boldly share all your ideas. Even if you think some are bad, all ideas are valuable and have the potential to spark new thoughts and solutions. To get to one great idea, you need to start with a lot of them. Once your team has lots of ideas, you'll go narrow and pick the best ones based on their innovativeness, usefulness, and your team's skills and resources. Picking the best ideas can be tricky since you might disagree. It's okay. Disagreements are normal in teams. You can work through them by talking until you reach a compromise. Your best ideas will emerge when you're sharing thoughts and working together to create a solution for your question. It takes teamwork to make the world a better place.
Okay, let me put this one full screen. Okay, I'll start there. It's just, okay, so within the IDA phase, students will extend their learning from the understand phase to clearly state the problem they are trying to solve and brainstorm solutions. The goal is to create many original and unique ideas, but then also narrow them down to the best one that they can start modeling in the prototype phase. So I'll show you some of the activities that are available within that phase. So within the Ideate phase, the activities are divided into 3 different categories that you see on the screen. Frame the problem, go broad, and go narrow. So let's take a closer look at them. Impactful, we encourage students teams to complete one activity in each of the activity groups. But of course, it's up to you to guide them differently. So if you decide to do more, then of course, you're welcome to do that with your students. So you'll see here the different activities that are under each one. And let me just go a little bit over them. So in activity 1, frame the problem, ask how might we. Students usually will come up with a question to help place their research problem into perspective. For example, how might we provide flood victims clean drinking water in order to prevent illness from unsanitary drinking water? That way, students frame the question, but ultimately determines the kind of solutions they come up with later. So this is an essential part of designing solutions. You know, like the answer is going to come from the kind of problem and how you frame it. So this activity really helps students think about the problem before even diving into ideating solutions. And they always start with, how might we, right? How might we solve water? How might we solve poverty? But even within that, you can give them more details to help them frame their question. And within the template, you'll find it on the Packful platform. You have even like a whole template of how to help them frame this question, and they just have to basically fill it in. But it helps them a lot go through it, and even sometimes like do it multiple times to gain more clarity around it. So then we have the Go Broad activity, which allows students to freely brainstorm and share the ideas with their teammates. So in the brain dump, it's a fun way for students to come up with wild and crazy solutions, ideas that answer the previously questions, how might we question. Students can use sticky notes, or they can use physical or virtual sticky notes tools with tools such as Jamboard to complete this activity. Then activity 3, they have the brain write activity, where students just use each other's idea to provide feedback and build on that to elaborate and form collaboration in forming new solutions. And in the final one, Go Broad activity, what's the worst possible idea? This is always the fun one for students. Students can get really creative by coming up with absolute worst ideas. This activity really helps to take off the pressure and allow students to become more adventurous, since they know their ideas won't be criticized. So this is always a fun one to do with students. So I would strongly suggest you do at least that one with your students. Let me see this one. And then we have the Go Narrow section. So now the students went and created all these different ideas. You'll see like sticky notes all over if you're doing it in your classroom. And they have all this, they allowed it, you allowed it the space for them to be creative and start formulating ideas. Now we have to start narrowing down their ideas, because of course they need to prototype something, a solution for the next webinar coming up, right? So for the next phase. So our final category of activities is Go Narrow. Activity number 5, Go Narrow sticker dot voting. Students post their idea on a virtual sticky note, then vote on the best idea. Of course, they can always use that, physically with a pencil in your classroom too. So you don't always have to use the virtual options. When I have students on campus, I like to do everything the most physical that I can, because they're always on electronics. So I like them to do as many physical stuff as they can, but it's up to you. And of course, for whenever you do like physical activities with your students, you can always take a photo of that and upload that to Packful, right? Because we ask you to document, be documenting all their work on Packful. So just remember to document also all their work and make sure they're also uploading their work to Packful. So the best thing when you're doing physical activities on paper, just take a photo and you can upload that. In activity number 6, go narrow. 4 categories method. Students will fill out the digital 4-column chart with the categories rational choice, most likely to delight, darling, and long shot. They'll discuss them with their teammates and come up with the base idea. So again, all these processes are helping them start narrowing down and kind of like also question like, hey, what should we be looking to? What are we looking into our different solution? And the last but not least, we have activity number 7, go narrow, sanity check, which includes a digital chart providing students with thoughtful questions to think about when evaluating whether an idea will be a good one for or not to pursue. Consider whether the idea is possible, feasible, or innovative can help them to narrow down the best one. And I think that's one of the ones I use the most, the go narrow sanity check, because again, it has students question the different ideas, and then they really start getting into like questioning the different ideas and trying to figure out what would be the best possible solution for them before they jump into that prototype phase. So is there like any questions right now on this? If not, we can move to the Storyteller Award, but if there's any questions, feel free to type in the chat, or we can do a minute here to open it up, or we can come back. We can also come back at the end. So, Annette, can you announce the Storyteller Award? Well, please remind them of the Storyteller Award before we announce.
Yes, so we are hosting a Storyteller Award. So it would be 2 $25 gift cards for 2 people who post on social media on their progress that their classroom is having or that their team is having with the hashtag JTIC24. Here listed, we have our Twitter, our Facebook, our Instagram, any of them work. And as long as you tag us and use JTIC24, you will be eligible to enter.
Thank you. Yeah, you'll start seeing that as we progress through the challenge, especially for the prototype, there's a lot of things you can document, right? But I'll let Anne go over the winners for this award.
Yes, so today's winners go to Christopher Sosa and Justin Breton. We will be contacting the winners via email to award you your prize, but here are some examples of what the posts might look like for you to get inspiration and just, have fun with it.
Thank you, Anne. Yes, so sometimes you see sometimes they take photos of the students' work, their computers, the printout, their classroom doing like the brain dump, like the sticky notes, anything works, So just make sure you do the hashtag JTIC24 and you'll be able to get at our $25 gift card. And that's all we have for today. We'll take any questions about the activities or the challenge. Again, I'm going to be sending the recording. So if you have any questions, feel free to email Rebecca, Anne, or Lisa. And you can always reference our website here, packful.org, JTIC24, in case you need to reference all recordings, or if you have any questions about the challenge, or you can also always email us. But that's all we have for you today. Again, we'll open it up for any questions you have or comments. And feel free to type in the chat also any questions or comments you have. And we'll send a recording of this also. Yes. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we'll send a recording. You're welcome, Tom. Thank you. And I'll stop the recording because sometimes you want to ask your questions without being on the camera. So I'll stop the recording too.